2,000 years ago, one superpower, Rome, dominated the world. It became famous for its military and for having rule of law and a stable currency people could rely on. They built beautiful buildings, roads, aqueducts. They created art and literature. Rome flourished for more than 200 years in relative peace and prosperity. But then it crumbled. Why? Well, political leaders grabbed power. That power turned many into tyrants who indulged in debauchery and corruption. They raised taxes to pay for war and increased regulation. When the masses complained, they tried to please them with handouts.
Sound familiar? Is this what's happening to America? Well, 1,000 of us have gathered here to debate that question. And that's our show tonight.
And now, John Sossel.
Tonight, I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, for a special edition of our show. I'd like to say that all these people came here just for that, but they really came for Freedom Fest, the world's biggest gathering of free minds. This year's topic, are we becoming Rome? Now, free minds, that's a phrase we libertarians like to use to describe ourselves. This is basically a big conference of libertarians, and I think our minds are unusually free, right? We had to free our minds to get these concepts, but a lot of people think we're crazy. But on to tonight's topic, Rome. Is the United States about to fall as Rome did? Here's a depiction of barbarians sacking the city. Is this our future? First, we hear from a conservative, a historian, and a libertarian. The conservative, Steve Forbes of Forbes Media. You have some libertarian leanings, but conservative, I would call you. The historian, Carl Richard, is an expert on Rome. The libertarian, Matt Kibbe of FreedomWorks, a group that fights against big government. So, Matt, you first. Are we becoming Rome?
I think we are. I think the parallels are quite ominous. The debt, the expansionist foreign policy, the arrogance of executive power taking over our country. But I do think we have a chance to stop it.
Carl?
I think there are similarities not only with the fall of the empire, which is what most people talk about when they talk about the fall of Rome, but also the fall of the Republic, which was 500 years earlier. And there I see Romans engaging in unconstitutional acts, political leaders and so on, and I see some of that.
Unconstitutional acts like stuffing ballot boxes, corruption, what
No,
kinds?
that did happen, the sort of under-the-table corruption, and that's bad, obviously, but it doesn't bother me as much as the overt things. For instance, Marius was elected consul 6 years in a row, even though under the Roman Constitution it was term limited to 1 year. And people just kept voting for him. They knew it was unconstitutional, so that kind of stuff.
And now we have Congress passing laws they haven't read.
Right, and we have presidents of both parties legislating by executive order, saying I'm not going to enforce certain laws because I don't like them. We have bureaucrats legislating through regulations. We have Supreme Court saying it's constitutional for the government to take your property and sell it to someone else because he can give us more tax revenue. There are a lot of examples.
Steve?
Well, yes, you can always find parallels, but the fact that we're meeting, I think, shows that the antidote is coming about. We, the people, have not gone the way, been totally corrupted the way the Romans were. We're not passive. We saw it with the Tea Parties, and despite IRS suppression, the Tea Party movement is coming back again. You're going to see it in 2014 and 2016. And they may try to feed us to the lions, but we're going to own the lions because we believe in free enterprise.
That's a happy thought. I wish I were as optimistic as you, but I fear we will become Rome. And let me just poll the audience. Are you as optimistic as Steve? How many of you think we're going down the tubes, we're in deep trouble? Most. How many of you think we're going to turn it around? They can't both be true. But again, you are not a normal audience because you're libertarians, right? I mean, wacko birds, according to Senator John McCain. That's what he called some libertarian-minded politicians. But walking around here at this conference and seeing the Tea Party booths and people selling investments in gold and game show quizzes that test your knowledge of dead Austrian economists, you have to kind of understand why we get our reputation as eccentric and wonkish and different. Is this unfair? Is this fair? No. Come on, isn't this group mostly men, mostly badly dressed men? My going to libertarian events, this is what I notice. It's people who care about numbers, less about how they look. I think Steve Forbes is a perfect example of this. He's the epitome of the wonkish geek. Is this unfair?
You're sounding like my opponents, and so I didn't expect that from you. But let's face it, people who make things happen. You could describe our forefathers, our revolutionaries, in the same way. They're always minorities who see something's wrong, go out and persuade, become agitators, and change the world. And we've done it once, and we're going to do it again. We are going to be the leader. Absolutely. And you, of all people, should know, don't look at the superficial. Look at the substance. We've got the substance. That's why we're going to ultimately win.
I admire, this is the optimism that makes America possible. Matt, what about my libertarian slur? I look at your sideburns, and I think people would say, this is not a normal guy.
Definitely guilty as charged.
But you go to 1,000 of these meetings. Are the people different? How?
We're different because we have read books, and we do care about ideas. But social awkwardness is not a sin in the defense of liberty.
And any I mean, I'm socially awkward too. I overcome it because I have to, because I have a TV show. But ask my friends, or ask Imus, and he'll tell you I'm socially awkward. But what is it about many of people who like to analyze? I mean, Bill Clinton is the opposite. He felt your pain and then spent more money. Is it a personality type?
Well, you know, economists would argue that everything we do when we fight for freedom, when we show up at rallies, when we care about the future of our country, economists would say that's irrational. But we happen to think it's the best thing to do because we care not only about our country, but our future and our kids' future. That's not normal in this country, and that's what we have to fix.
But it's part of our culture. Entrepreneurs, they're always outliers, always trying to see things that others aren't seeing. I mean, Steve Jobs famously said, do you do marketing surveys? He said no, because people don't know what they want until we show them. That's a typical entrepreneur. Put it out there and see if they like it. And so oftentimes we fail, but that's where you try to learn from failure. That's what freedom's about. Take a chance, fail, learn, hope to do it better next time. If we accepted the conventional wisdom, heck, we'd still be living in caves, you know.
Well, we're going to try to show them tonight. Carl, do you have more historical perspective we should think about comparing America to Rome?
You know, the debt, the high spending. I'm talking about the late empire, the high spending.
They had high debt and high spending.
The devaluation of currency, there's another one. You know that
we'll
by the end
tonight.
of the empire, a so-called silver coin was only 2% silver. That's how they devalued it. And it got to the point that the Roman government would not accept its own currency in taxes. You had to give goods. We're not there yet.
Thank you, Carl. Matt Kibbe, Steve Forbes. Coming up, gladiators devalued currency, a growing welfare state. Other ways, America is just too much like Rome.